I'm asleep, but I go out of my body, bro. But it's like a body inside of me came out of me. So I'm like levitating above my body. I'm like, bro, this shit cool, but I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it's a white thing. It was a white, like, I was white. So I'm like, damn, this shit is cool. And then as I'm like, oh, this shit is cool, I'm like, nah, this shit getting scary, nigga.
This shit getting spooky.
This shit getting, cause I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You feel me? The only person I had next to me was Dominique, bro. I'm like, nigga, I'm like, and she finally went like, you know what I'm saying? Boom. And nigga, I'm like, nigga, hey, that shit's scary, bro.
Go in and I died, brother. I fucking died. And they put me on the ventilator, my dude, and I left my fucking body, bro. I left here, dude. And I'm in a dark fucking room, bro. Everything's fucking dark. And my man's with me who got killed. And I'm fucking looking down in a fucking hole at me on a fucking ventilator, bro, with my wife next to me, dog. Like, I ain't trying to freak you out.
No, you're good.
And there's a voice that's telling me, we want you here, bro. I was ready to die in. I swear to God, I was ready to die. I was ready to fucking give up, man. I had so much pain between my fucking family and the sickness that I felt. And I had a fucking vision, my dude. I get emotional, bro. I had a vision of my son growing up without me, bro. And I said, yo, I gotta come back for him. And I knew, bro. I know that everything I've been through in my life ain't about me, my dude. It's about him.
I've left my body more times than I can count, and I'm telling you, what's on the other side isn't what we've been told. It started by accident. I thought it was a dream, but I kept waking up somewhere else. Astral projection, that's when your body stays behind, but you don't. You float, you drift, you move between realms. I wasn't trying to escape my body. I just had questions the world couldn't answer about death, about what comes after, about consciousness. The places I landed were consistent, not dreams. They had texture, distance. I could move through them. That's when I realized I wasn't just imagining something. I was someone. These spaces felt like checkpoints, like airport terminals, literal waiting zones for souls. But there were no walls, just space, alive with light, pressure, and sound. Like standing inside of a song or inside a photo that changes every time you look at it. Some zones felt warm like sunlight, others were cold, sterile like a hospital hallway at night. The souls, they were being sorted. Some sent back to earth, others went somewhere else. Not punishment, not reward, just placement. I had questions, and the response came like a download. This cycle is not for everyone. That's when it hit me. Maybe it's not about right or wrong. Maybe it's about energy, frequency, purpose, and maybe this whole thing, it's a system. Crossing over isn't just floating into the light. It felt structured, like a process, like something designed. And death, it didn't feel like the end. It felt like a checkpoint, a sorting station, a transition. I think it might be a system of return, of repetition, unless you know how to exit. If Earth never felt like home, if your dreams feel like memories, you might not be imagining it. You might be remembering. Some call it the soul trap theory. I'm not saying I know for sure. I'm just sharing what I've seen. Take what resonates, leave the rest, said Robert Monroe, who researched and detailed his experience of astral projection in his book, Journey Out of the Body. If stories like this interest you, be sure to give me a follow. I enjoy having these type of discussions too.
And my spirit left my body. It was like I was in my apartment and my spirit got pulled out of my body. And I would go in these different transits. Bright color lights. It was white. Like, the best way I can explain it would be shoo, 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 all the different flashing lights. And I appeared before a blue sky with no clouds. It was like a blue place. No land, no trees, no grass, no water, nothing. There was nothing there but a blue atmosphere. And I would see this atmosphere goes millions of miles upon millions of miles where nothing existed. It was like nothing was hidden. Everything was revealed. Everything was before your eyes. You could see it. And we was in this clear kind of body form, some form of light, as you would refer to a soul or a spirit and I could see through. It was so transparent, and in front of me was thousands among thousands similar to what I was, and thousands among thousands behind me. And I knew that it was some form of a soul. And in the middle of my chest were seeds, multiple seeds. I didn't know what they were for. And I realized that I was the only being that could actually move out of my place and look and observe, smell, taste, feel. All my senses were active at this point. And so, I began to look around and to observe the things that I saw, not knowing that this was a dream. I thought this was reality. I thought this was actually happening, and I looked forward, and there was this great shadow way in front of me, way at the end of the line. It was like 1,000 people in front of me, and there was a shadow, a great big shadow, but it had no detail. It was like as a vapor. And I could see that it was a shadow of something that was in the front. And I had many questions at this point in this dream, and out of nowhere, I heard these words: "Depart from me." And this galaxy, this portal, I don't know what to call it, on the right side of God, or Jesus Christ, whoever you decide to identify that spot of judgment. On the right side of him, there was this big portal that opened up, and there will be stones of fire. Normally, when you get a lighter and you cut it on, try to spark a flame, but instead of fire, it was stones, and they will leak out of this portal. And whoever that guy had said, "Depart from me," flew down this place, and the stones were so hot that it would burn everybody outside of that portal. On the left side of our body or our form, it would burn us. And everybody would be like, "Ooh," like as if it was so cold or so hot. You would tell somebody to close that door. It's too cold. That's how hot it was. And the portal closed. And then he sent them so fast that the screams were late. I would hear, "Ah!" Like it was like, "Depart from me." And it closed up. Then the screams come, "Ah!" And it terrified me. And then out of nowhere, something snatched us up. Like we moved up the line. And I began to think, I didn't understand where we was. I'm like, oh my God, maybe this is judgment. Yeah, I had many questions, and I would hear, "Depart from me," "Depart from me," "Depart from me," and all these different people will be sent to hell. And the part that scared me the most was the people that were getting judged. You could hear when God was talking to them, and you could hear everything they got judged from. So if somebody went to hell for something that you knew you struggled with in your life, you know where you were going. And so I'm just seeing people go, sit there, boo. And I'm seeing the flame, and it's just constantly burning everybody outside that haven't been judged yet. And I could hear some of the people talking to God. And I remember there was a woman, blonde hair, and God was talking to her. He said, "I'm not judging you for what you put on Facebook, but I'm judging you on how everybody else received it." 300,000 people were led astray by one of her Facebook posts. And he said their blood was on her hands. And out of nowhere, he said, "Depart from me." And I'm talking about, I couldn't express how powerful his words were.
"I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. Hold on. What the fuck is that?
Why am I crying? I've told this story so many times. One thing I'll never forget is when I was 16 years old and I had my very first and only actually near-death experience. I hope I can get through this video without crying, because every time I tell this story, it brings back so many memories. So I was 16 years old, and at the time I was taking medicine. Y'all know, now I am completely holistic. I haven't taken medicine in years, since I was 16. Since this experience, I've never taken Western medicine, pills, or anything like that. I just make sure to get my minerals through vitamins, and I go more so the holistic approach to anytime I'm sick or I have the flu and stuff like that. I'll just mix up some herbs and cure myself naturally. And it's something that I actually take so much pride in. But when I was 16 years old, I think when I was 14, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure and anemia. So when I was 16 one day, I was taking my pill. It was an iron pill, and I'll never forget it. And I was at home. I took the pill, and it got stuck in my throat. And once it got stuck in my throat, I immediately knew that something was wrong, but I still went to school. Like, I could feel it. I couldn't swallow, and I couldn't force it to go down. I tried everything, like the bread, water, of course, but it couldn't go down. So I proceeded to go to school, and then I started feeling very faint. At this time, it's like like literally stuck in my throat. Why did I go? I don't know. My mom didn't play about me going to school, but yeah. So I went to school, and then I had to go because I felt a burning sensation. And now that I look back, it could have actually burnt through my esophagus. But yeah, I had to leave, and I called a family friend who took me to the doctor. I was feeling so faint, so very like I can't even describe how I was feeling. Um, if you've ever had anything stuck in your throat, like it's a very scary thing because you actually can't breathe. So I had to like really focus and concentrate on breathing. Got there. I remember my dad came and like my boyfriend at the time, everybody came to the hospital. My dad was there, and I remember us sitting on the bed, and I told him to go get them because I literally feel like I was about to pass out. And I don't know what happened after that, but all I remember is the next moment my doctor came in and she told me that the pill had aspirated to my lung. I was on the bed and like I could see it in my lung. And um all I remember, why am I about to cry? All I remember was looking at this lady and saying, please don't let me die. Like, I can't die. Please do not let me die. And death has always been like, not more so now, but when I was younger, was definitely like something that I feared. And I remember at this time, she said, I'm gonna do my very best. And I was out after that. Um, why am I about to cry? I've told this story like so many times. During this surgery, I literally saw myself laying on the bed. I can't even explain because I've never felt it since, and it's probably a good thing, but it was such an overwhelming amount of peace and like light that took over. I just cannot explain it. Like, I cannot explain the sense of peace that I had. But I'm seeing the doctor work on me. Like, I'm actually visually seeing it. So it's like an out of body experience. And I'm also seeing, like, I hear my boyfriend at the time, I hear somebody crying, I don't remember who it is, but I'm like watching. Like, I'm watching my boyfriend's cousin at the time like walk to the vending machine, get stuff out, and like my dad and everybody just sitting there. I'm like watching these people, also watching myself, and it's just like I was floating above them. I can't explain it. But I didn't see like God or anything. I know like a lot of people who have like near death experiences see God. All I saw was light. So I just imagine like looking at a room and it's extremely, extremely bright. That's pretty much what I saw. And the peace that came with it is kind of what makes me not fear death anymore. Like, I'm like, okay, if that's what it feels like to go, the amount of peace that I had is just something that I could never describe to anybody. But after that, I remember waking up the next day and I had all these tubes going everywhere and I was trying to like pull them out. And the nurse came in and I like hopped up out the bed. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. And I'll never ever forget the look on the nurse's face. And then my mom, and she was just crying. And I later found out that like the doctor had told us that they didn't expect me to make it through the night. So yeah, the doctor basically told my parents to just like prepare themselves because they didn't expect me to make it through the night. And so for me to like be able to hop up and be perfectly fine the next day, like that's why my faith is so much bigger than all of my fears because God is so real. Like that I know for sure. God is real. But from that moment, from that day, I never took another pill. Um, I never took anything else. I started studying holistic medicine. That's how I got into creating my own hair growth oil and other products. Like I just wanted everything completely natural, right? Once I was studying herbs, I learned how to cure myself, like if I had a cold or any type of infection or anything like that. And I also learned a lot about like products because I'd always loved making my own. So I just started making my own products, and I came up with these formulas. I started with my stimulating growth oil, grew my whole line, vowed to make it 100% organic, clean, natural. Then we moved into our extra strength viral growth oil, which is a rosemary and fenugreek that has the herbs in it, and it's like no other. It's one of a kind. Um, and now we're venturing off to other things like vitamins. So these are our biotin gummies for hair, skin, and nails. My main thing was just making sure to keep it as clean as possible. I wanted some vegan gummies that actually, where you could actually visibly see a difference. And so these are 10,000 mcg, which I've tested so many formulas. My main thing was to just make sure that they were clean and that it was effective. It had to work, right? But also I wanted to make sure they didn't have any like unnecessary additives and stuff in it. And y'all, we created the most amazing gummy. They smell so divine. Like, I am so, so proud of this. So I add this to my daily routine, right? I have every single morning, I take like all of my other herbs and stuff like that, whether it's soursop or sea moss and all of these other concoctions that I take every single morning. Let me know if you want a routine of like my morning routine, of how I keep myself healthy since I don't take medicine. But I'll add this in because it's perfect for hair growth, skin growth, like making sure that your skin is glowing. So I am obsessed with these gummies, y'all. If you don't have them in your routine, you absolutely need them. But yeah, y'all, that's it for the story time. I just figured I'd just come tell y'all a little bit more about me and like what really sparked my passion for creating my products. Because y'all know the story of me like being a teacher and then quitting and starting with the products, but I don't know if a lot of people know the true story. So let me know if you knew that or not. I've posted this story time years ago when I was in college on my YouTube channel. So if some of y'all come from YouTube, then y'all know this story already. I've already told it there. So yeah, a little bit about me.
A lot of y'all out here that think you're on a spiritual journey, that thinks that you are becoming spiritually awakened and spiritually enlightened, but you are still connected to religious sacraments and things that keep people in bondage, the judgment and the criticism and the things that you run back to because you're not ready to free your soul completely. You're not on your journey. You're not on your journey. And the reason why I want to say that is because when you begin to realize that you are on a true journey towards spirituality, which means that you totally disconnect from the things that you were taught, the things that you learned in religion, your life, your whole entire life begins to shift. My whole life, even when I was a little girl growing up, I knew that there was something different about me. It didn't make me any special than anyone else, but I realized that there was something that I was able to tap into that I couldn't explain. But because growing up, I had so many people listening to my gift, partially understanding my gift, but pushing me closer to the church, it entrapped me for a very long time into religion, and it blocked my spirituality. And that's what I want to share really quickly. I'm not going to go too deep, but I'm just going to pour a little sauce on it so that you will understand what you may be experiencing during this time. See, I felt that because people were pushing me there, that was obviously where I needed to go and where I needed to be. Not realizing that even as a little girl, and when I say little girl, I do mean before I even became a teenager, there were things that were happening on the inside of me, auditory, visually, through dreams, lucid ones, might I add, that I could hear, that I could understand, that I could sense, that I could feel, not knowing that I was going to take these things into my adulthood, because when I shared these things as a child, people told me that I was crazy. But there were something like downloads, and I did not understand it. And between the year 2019 and 2025, and I'm in my late 40s now, I can honestly tell you I'm just now getting a full grasp on it. But it was one of those things that I already knew that I had. I just had to tap into it and stop letting people trying to define it because it didn't belong to them. Needless to say, it did push me further and further towards the church because I was caught in between the rift. I was caught in between my world and what I knew that the Most High was doing in me and religion, what the church was willing to impart in me. And I must say that even though I grew, I really grew, I evolved, and I learned a lot of things in church, the majority of the things that I learned in church were things not to do. And I was enhanced by the church, I must say, because I received so much criticism, which taught me not to criticize. I received so much judgment, which taught me not to criticize. And along the lines of me learning not to do those things, I began to grow. I learned not to be completely apart. I learned the true definition of being set apart because I would watch other people that claim to be such lovers of the Most High, and then his people talk about those people. Those same people that were coming up in the church for healing for their soul. They needed to be washed of their sins. Whatever they believed religion was going to do for them, that's what they were there for. But instead, a lot of people walked out of there broken, because that's not what you receive when you walk into a place full of people that have the same issue as you, but yet and still they judge you for it. Meanwhile, I was trying to be free, and I do mean really free. So I want to share this story with you guys really quickly about how I began my journey. Because see, a lot of people think that religion and spirituality are tied in together. No, they are. I mean, when I tell you they're not just miles apart, they are worlds apart. Because see, religion teaches you that you need to depend on something outside of you. And outside of you, before you even topple to the man that sits in the clouds. Do you understand? And I may ruffle a couple of feathers with this, but it really doesn't make me any difference. The first person that you begin to look outside of yourself towards is the preacher, the pastor. Say I'm lying. And listen, I don't knock the pastor, the preacher, the bishop, or whomever, because I received a lot of messages from them. But you know, in doing so, one thing that I realized is that it was just confirmation in my soul for things that I already knew. Things that were already downloaded on the inside of me. So me hearing someone say to me the thing that I know that was already imparted and downloaded in me was my confirmation, my true confirmation that something is already happening on the inside of me. Wait a minute, let me repeat that. On the inside of me that I can do something with. Hold on, y'all ain't getting it yet. What was already in me, I do admit it needed to be cultivated. It needed to be pruned. It needed to be churned. It needed to be matured. I needed to maturate. But nonetheless, I needed to understand. But nonetheless, it was there. It was dormant. And just like your gifts and just like the downloads that you've been receiving that you're trying to understand, it's already there. But religion has disconnected you. It says in the word, whom the Son sets free is free indeed. But do you feel free? Oh, okay. So let me go ahead and separate my journey and allow you guys to understand where I began to gain freedom. When I began to gain freedom, when I really became free. Because I see a lot of church people basically understood that when I walked away, I walked away. They just didn't see me anymore. They probably didn't care. They didn't understand what was going on with my life. And many didn't reach out to me. But for those of you that did, I want to say, first of all, I'm okay. I'm very much okay. And I'm very much aligned. But I did notice that when a lot of you reached out to me, you reached out in judgment because you thought that it was something that I was going through that made me become disconnected from the Most High. And when I say the Most High, I do mean the lover of my soul. Not the one that you guys worship that keeps you in bondage, that keeps you in judgment, that keeps you trapped in fear. But I began to tap into something that really aligned me with something that I was already connected to deep within my soul. And I didn't need the validation of a preacher. I didn't need the validation of a book. I didn't need the validation of a pulpit. I didn't need the validation of a microphone. I didn't need the validation of applause. I didn't need the validation of people to know that my heart is pure. And I'm right with the one that created me and put me here for this purpose. And that no matter what people said, I can do as I choose to do. regardless of whether it's on TikTok or either any other social media platform. I am in his will, on my journey, in my purpose. I'm not hurting anyone. And the Most High, check this out, is still blessing me. See, I'm not in a danger zone. I'm in my comfort zone, where most of you probably desire to be. That's the reason why I can lay in my bed and make this message and don't feel any way about it. Whereas religion taught me to be prime and proper. Oh, you have to look a certain way. You have to sound a certain way in order for people to understand where you're coming from. Where no, if I talk in my normal voice and I just woke up, I still got a little raspy here, but you understand. Because the message is the message. And I ask that you don't shoot the messenger. I just ask that you understand that there is a place within you that's not outside of you that can still help you to get to the place that you desire to go. See, the only thing you have to do is ask for it. And that's what I did. In 2019, I asked to know the highest truth. And while I had COVID and didn't know what it was because it didn't have a label at that point, I was near death. And if any of you have ever experienced near death, once I realized I was having this experience, I asked in that moment to allow me to have the highest truth. And in that highest truth, I had also a ODE, which is an out-of-body experience that completely separated and severed me from religion. I began to go on my spiritual journey, which is something that a lot of people fear. And you don't want to get that close to the Most High, because then you'll realize that you were so separated from Him. See, this isn't a sometimes thing. All the time, oftentimes, and every time you desire to get closer to the Most High, you must do it alone. And that's what people fear. And that's the reason why they went to the church, because they need an entourage. They need backup. They need people that will co-sign even the things that they do that they know that are out of alignment. But baby, when you get ready to go on your spiritual journey, you will begin to realize that it is just you, isolation, and Him, relearning and re-educating yourself on everything that you thought you knew so that you can get to the absolute truth. And I hope this helps someone, because it did me. Have a good day.